And then Soren S. also did a super chat and says, if Elden Ring is not the best game ever, which one is then? That is a an objective. No. I'm kidding. I'm confusing myself. That is a subjective question. Because it's different strokes for different folks, right? It is. And you can argue that one genre is better than another, or you enjoy one genre more than another. You know, if your favorite genre of games is fighting games, you might argue that your favorite fighting game is the best game of all time. While someone who likes platformers may think that a Mario game is the best game of all time, right? And it's really like apples to oranges. How do you say is Street Fighter 2 better or worse than Super Mario World? They're not even close to being the same type of game. You know what I'm saying? What I have issue with these reviewers, okay, is not someone saying, okay, Elden Ring is my game of the year. I don't care about that. That's fine. All right? Say that. If it's your favorite From Software game, it's your game of the year, that's good for you. Go ahead and you can say that. All right? But number one, you got to understand the year's not over. We're only heading into May. There's going to be many more games coming out this year, and there may be competition. So kind of saying, oh, game of the year this early, it's kind of irresponsible, all right? If you say game of the year so far, that's different, but a lot of people are just saying game of the year as like a definitive statement. There's no chance any other game this year can beat it, and I'm not believing that. I think that there could be better games this year, okay? In fact, I would say, I hope there's better games this year. I want more better games. I don't want to say the best games come out and everything else is a downhill trend. That's kind of silly and ridiculous, okay? That's number one. But the other thing I have major issue with is people who review the game and say, okay, so this was really kind of messed up in the game and broken. This definitely could have been improved and it was really frustrating, but it's a 10 out of 10, okay? I'm sorry you can't do that. And I know that people have different methodologies when it comes to reviews and they have different review systems. But the truth of the matter and the bottom line, and I say these mannerisms all the time to try to emphasize, I don't know how much I can emphasize the next following statement, all right? If you are someone with a following on the internet, you have a responsibility to be transparent and truthful with your audience. You have to understand that what you say has weight and that people will directly make judgments based off of what you say in a review. If you review Elden Ring and you say the game has all these issues that could be improved and you give it a 10 out of 10, you have done a dramatic disservice to your viewing audience and you have been completely disrespectful and dishonest and basically irresponsible with them. Because when you say 10 out of 10, you're saying it's perfect. It's 100%. 10 divided by 10 is 1. The best example, a whole number, 1. It's flawless, infallible, best in class, best you could ever do. Is Elden Ring the best you can ever do for this style of game, or is there room for improvement? If there's room for improvement, it can't be perfect. You can't say it is. You just can't. If you do, you have been irresponsible with your audience, and you have misled them. And I know people will give me shit because someone just told me the other day, Angry Joe said it's a 10 out of 10. And I respect the hell out of Angry Joe. He fucked up. You can't say a game is perfect and then call out flaws. You're being irresponsible. And I hate to say it, you could say that the responsibility should be on the viewer. It's the viewer's responsibility to watch the whole review and then judge for themselves. The viewer shouldn't just listen to the number score and then say, that's the score, and trust it. You're right, but sadly, that's not the reality we live in. We don't live in a world where everyone's fucking smart. We just don't. We live in a world where people are like, oh, here's a number, that's the game, period. There's people who will just say, okay, what did Angry Joe rate it? Oh, a 10? Perfect score. Okay, best game ever. They won't even watch the review. They'll just listen to the number. You also got to remember about aggregate scores. There's aggregate scores on the internet that rate things off of the number you give it. So again, if you're overinflating and saying 10 out of 10, but it has flaws, you have actually skewed the aggregate score, and that does a disservice to everyone out there. So many people get overcome with emotion when they review things, whether it's a television show, a movie, a game. Some people get overcome with positive emotion and say it's perfect when it's not. Other people get completely overwhelmed with negative emotion when they feel that something's not up to snuff with how they feel it should be, and then they slam it, right? And either way can give you a lot of extra attention on the internet, And it can make you a lot of extra money if you're a content creator. Those extremes, I know I've been there. When I made that video, the worst game I've ever played, Homefront the Revolution, it broke 1 million views. It made me thousands of dollars, no exaggeration. That one video that I spent a few nights piecing together, editing and putting out on the internet, made me a lot of money because it was so overly negative. All right, so I know all about it. I've been there, okay? But I feel that you have to be responsible when you are a content creator and you have a following. You know, you just have to be. This is your job. This is you putting yourself out there and saying, this is truly what I feel about a game. You can't trust that every person's going to watch your full review, even though they absolutely should. Your number score has to be truly representative of what you say in the review. And too many reviewers don't do that. They just get so overly, completely overwhelmed in emotion. Oh, 10 out of 10, best game ever. Get the fuck out of here. You're so full of it. And then people believe you. And that's the worst part. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Anything else? Or should we end the pre-stream? I'm being asked, is it okay to rate something 10 out of 10 if you completely enjoy the game despite its flaws? Yes. Well, here's the thing. Again, I feel like here's the thing is that there's no set rating scale. And that's really what's killing it right now with these reviews. Is that IGN reviews something an 8 out of 10. Angry Joe reviews something an 8 out of 10. And some content creator, much lesser known, you never heard of, reviews something 8 out of 10. And all three reviews could be completely valid, completely justified in what they're saying, but all completely different. Even though everyone gave it an 8 out of 10, it could all mean something different. That's why the number scale is fucking bullshit. It really is. The number scale is bullshit because you don't even know if people are using the same criteria to grade the game. How many of these reviewers even have criteria? Do you think that there's people who have a formula they use? Oh, if it has great gameplay, that scores a point. If it has great graphics, that scores a point. Or if it has this or that. Some of them might do that. Some of them might literally just pull a number out of their asshole. Like I said, a lot of these guys, they're based on emotion. So they just make a number up because that's what they feel. You know what I'm saying? The whole number system in itself is bullshit. And I really wish that we could find another way to grade games and or anything. Because a number, a lot of times, as I just explained, is a misrepresentation of the true experience of the game. So, yeah. Ryu in Suiko says, have you ever seen a reviewer who says 10 out of 10 means a perfect game? Seems like it's never used as a substitute for perfection. And that's the thing then it shouldn't be used. You can't take something that is cut and dry, 100% fact, and then skew it as not being fact. Okay? You can't. There are some undeniable facts in life. Math, okay, is one of those things that we all collectively agree math is the same. If we didn't, how the fuck would we ever calculate anything? Everything would be completely back to square one. As humans, we wouldn't understand anything in nature or anything. Math has to be the common denominator of everything that we do, so we have common ground when it comes to anything scientific, right? Math is it. That's the fucking end-all, be-all of everything, right? So when you say 10 out of 10, 10 would be absolute fullest quality possible, and you're giving it a 10. You're saying it's perfect. You're saying 100%. You're saying perfect one. You can't say, oh, well, it doesn't mean that. Yes, it does. That's math, dude. That's fucking math. You can't change math because of your emotions, because that's what it is. People think they could change anything on this planet because of emotions. No. Math is math. Math will always be there, whether you're angry or you're happy or you're fucking in between, whatever. Math will still exist, and it'll still be 10 out of 10 is a 1. It's 100%. You see? I am offended. I'm very offended. I'm incredibly offended. I've had enough. I've had it up to here. I am at a 10 out of 10 for being offended. I couldn't possibly be more offended about this. As someone who does this for a living, I've had enough. Use the same scale. Everyone's scale is different. Then we can't do aggregate reviews. We just can't. You could say this game is 10 out of 10 on the Angry Joe scale. All right, now I understand what that means. It's not perfect, but it's maximum enjoyment for Angry Joe, right? But when you say 10 out of 10 and then your score gets tossed into an aggregate review somewhere, now it's not subjective anymore. It's objective. You see? And that's a huge problem. And that's what I mean. To me, I feel like you're being irresponsible as a content creator and a reviewer if you're saying a game is flawless, but then you say it has flaws. I mean, listen, I really like Elden Ring. I do. So far, it is my favorite game of this year. I will say that much. It is. It's my favorite game of this year. But there's absolutely no fucking way it's a 10 out of 10. I would actually feel bad giving this game a 10 out of 10. Feel like I would be doing an insane disservice to myself and you and the internet if I said it was a 10 out of 10. Okay? Okay. What's hilarious is everyone basically saying things like, oh, I can't take this, feels wrong. But can you disprove that 10 out of 10 means 100%? Could you disprove that people don't take those number scores to make aggregate scores that are not correct because they're not scaled? They're not. You know, even their own companies don't scale them right. IGN will say one game's a 10, one game's a 8, one game's a 2. And then you'll read the reviews. It's like the number you gave it doesn't even make sense to what you said in the review. So how can you even argue that numbers make sense and should be used when even if the own company can't fucking have an editor that scales them right so it makes sense? You know what I'm saying?